Okay. Well, while you wait, we're just going to get started in another minute or two in case some people come through the front doors. So just sit tight. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have a nice conversation.
Okay.
All right, we have got one person that I think will be coming back in. So we'll get started in just a moment. Oh, for Pete's sake. Forgive me, I get impatient and I start clicking. So, all right, so it's 6:01. Thank you for waiting an extra minute or two. And welcome to Tioga Arts Council's 2026 State of the Arts Address. My name is Christina DiStefano, and I'm the Executive Director at Tioga Arts Council and your presenter for tonight. Thank you for joining us. So before we get started, I think in Zoom calls, it's always good to do a few housekeeping points. First, I'd like you to know that we are recording this meeting, so just to be aware of that. We might mute you for the first portion of the presentation. Secondly, I would like to thank Josh Tolley, a TAC member and volunteer, for hosting this on his Zoom platform and moderating. I really appreciate it. And then in terms of the structure of this, how I thought we could try, since this is a new initiative, that we thought would be a good way to start off the calendar year, alerting our community to where we've been, where we're at, and where we're planning to go in the coming year. So I will go through this presentation. I'd ask that you please, if you are virtual, you can send questions in advance through the chat feature of Zoom. Or if anyone comes and is present, then you can save your questions for the end, please. So without further ado, I think we can get started. Josh, would you please advance the next slide? Okay. Us, but since this is being recorded, I think it's just good to remind people of who we are. So Tioga Arts Council, we are the 501c3 arts and culture nonprofit organization in Tioga County. And our mission is to enrich the cultural lives of residents and visitors by initiating, facilitating creative opportunities through collaborations and exhibitions, performances, etc. Another way to think of us is as the central platform for the creative community. And our vision is to inspire and support the vibrant creative community in and around Tioga County, New York. Next slide, please. So in my time here, I'm starting my 9th year as the executive director at Tioga Arts Council. And over time, we've honed in on 3 values that guide our nonprofit organizations. This serves as the foundation for all we do. It's the North Star for when we are developing programming, when we are considering it in relation to our finances, and how to best meet the needs of the community. Those values are to serve the arts, to serve through the arts, and to make the arts accessible. So just a quick point about each. To serve the arts means to serve artists broadly, and that's artists, musicians, writers, creatives of all disciplines, all ages, at every stage of their career. Also, we are a nonprofit, so there's a wonderful opportunity for the arts to be a vehicle as service. It can be a way to enhance the lives of individuals, the people who interact with it, and the community at large. And lastly, we want to make it accessible. So whenever possible, we try to make our programs free or affordable to our constituents so we can all take part in creative experiences and enhance our well-being through them. Next slide, please. So this is a recap. We already mentioned we are a 501c3 arts and culture nonprofit organization. We are staffed by 2 hourly employees, a full-time executive director, that's myself, 1 part-time administrative assistant. We also have a core of volunteers who help out with various operations and events. And we are governed by a board of directors that meets monthly. And we are also, as an organization, governed by our bylaws as well as our membership. So first, I always like to reflect on the year we just concluded. It was a wonderful year. In fact, we've had several wonderful years, but 2025, there were some really unique benchmarks that we not only met, but we exceeded. So in no particular order, I listed here for this presentation the list of events that we completed, and it totaled about 69 exhibitions, events, and other educational offerings. It included 18 exhibitions, 1 regional show, 7 concerts, 2 artist residencies, fiscal sponsorship of 2 programs, one of which, Artist Grant Navigation, yielded $30,000 in payments to artists that year. We also did professional development series, free youth art services, including art classes, art materials, and outreach. And most importantly, and this has been a new area we've been foraying into since 2024, is we completed 2 public artworks and that we sponsored. We developed the creative concept for, and we worked with artists and community members to execute them. So it was a really important year in terms of what we offered. And this translates, we always try to track to the best we can of individuals served. So through these 69 events, programs, etc., we served approximately 8,500 people through these services. And a quick look at finances. So the year-to-date income at the end of our 2024-25 fiscal year was $228,156. Our expenses were $228.91, excuse me. So we had a very non-profitable net of $65, which is good. We always like to try to end the year in the green, like any good nonprofit. And it was a very good year. We had a tremendous impact. And as I mentioned before with values, I thought this was an important number to highlight, but as part of our business model, since we are paying artists, we generate an IRS form that's required, 1099s. So when we tallied the numbers, the total value of this category was $64,095. And the total artists served in this category, not the only ones paid, but this is the threshold of artists who receive $600 or more in calendar year 2025, we're 25 artists. So it's a kind of a overview of what we did last year through programming, finances, and people served. Next slide, please. So we always like to start with the traditional programming and just a look at what we're planning for 2026. Now there's a big asterisk with this. We're a small organization. I am primarily responsible for not just operations, fundraising, things like that, but all programs are more or less managed by me with a few exceptions. So a lot of things are hammered down. There are some things that are still outstanding. But with that said, we can expect this year with traditional program about 22 gallery exhibitions just in our gallery space, at least 7 free concerts with a tentative 8. And one of them I know there's a Beatles fan in the audience, so there's going to be a Beatles tribute concert. We're also planning 3 to 4 author readings, workshops, and classes, and we're always trying to build our retail space to make art supplies available in downtown Owego. Next slide, please. Now, next, our most significant partner entity is Cloudcroft Studios, and we work with them every year to deliver our most ambitious events. So the 2 ones this year, everyone has come to know Everyday Life, Everyday Art. It's, I would say, a premier regional art show, becoming highly established and a big draw for artists within 100-mile radius of Owego, and it encompasses 25 categories. Last year, we had an incredible year. We saw 50% increases in submissions and artworks that were reviewed by jurors, and we sold over $16,000 in artwork. So it was a tremendous year. We also had 836 visitors to the space during the month. This year, we're successful and we want to grow it meaningfully, strategically. So one thing that was suggested based on artist feedback was to add a new category of folk art. So we think we will move ahead with that. And we want to expand visitor offerings so we can get that number from 836 to over 1,000. And that would include an artist emeritus talk, an evening with a juror, and hopefully weekly artists on site so the public can interact with the artists who are on display and hear firsthand about their process and their work. The second thing at Cloudcroft, an event this year, which we're really excited about, is to work with an organization called NYSADA, and that stands for the New York State Arts Teachers Association, and I believe it's District 4. And we're very excited because they're looking to host their juried regional art show, and they requested to use Cloudcroft Studios and work with Cloudcroft and Tioga Arts Council to support their teachers with a high quality exhibition. So that's in planning and it's for June 2026. It's a very new, exciting opportunity. And there are other things that will be going on there, but we'll just get to them in our Beyond the Gallery section. So I have a paradigm here of our programs, and the first is traditional services. But when I mention and I start with values, the values have translated to a new concept that we're developing as Beyond the Gallery. And we see this, to put it succinctly, as our social service work, our values in action. And it falls into 3 categories. The first is our youth services. So this year, we're reaching our 6th year with Art a la carte, and that's our free art enrichment activities to children at summer meal sites, libraries, and other partner agencies in Tioga County. It tends to be students who fall into a certain socioeconomic category, especially at summer meal sites where they go to access free food, and we provide arts enrichment activities to enhance the experience. And we're looking to expand it to a 5th site this year. Traditionally, we do 4 sites. They are selected based on the criteria of geography. We try to reach outside of Owego, not because we don't love Owego, but there are high needs in other parts of the county, so it's a great way to do outreach. We also look at census data to see where the highest childhood poverty rates are. And then we see willingness to partner. Those are the 3 criteria for Art a la carte. And it's really developed into a strong program, and it can vary when in action. About 100 to 120 kids per week participate in it. The next thing that we're in the process of planning is art education outreach, and that's made possible through the Tioga County Youth Bureau. And this is another step towards art outreach. And the big difference between this and Art a la carte is that Art a la carte is delivering supplies and activity instructions to sites that volunteers there facilitate on site. Our art education outreach is one slight difference. We're paying artists, again, our values and actions. We look to pay artists to come and teach classes at partner agencies. Again, in parts of the county we have trouble reaching, so it's a good way to bring them a community service, in this case for their youth. So it's a nice way to pay our artists and bring something free for traditionally children, but it can be intergenerational. And then finally, there's a free art pack program. This has been going on, this I think will be the 5th year. And this is when we work with educators, guidance counselors, and community partners to identify students who have tremendous talent, but don't always have the means or resources or transportation to access supplies outside of a school setting. So we work with teachers to put together, traditionally it's been visual art packs, but we're looking to expand it this year. We tried it last year a little bit. And we work with a sponsor agency, Cops for a Cause, who are looking to partner with an arts council to do this. So it's a nice way of putting art supplies in the hands of capable artists and showing these artists that there is a community behind them and support their creativity. So the next bucket is our artist services, our value number 2 in action. And how we try to support artists are through professional development, and that's embodied in our Creative Symposium series. We actually have one planned for February 11th, and it's meant to be a free social forum for artists, again, of all disciplines to come together and work to network, to discuss challenges, to work on goals, and to be a positive source of community for one another. Another thing that we have done is we mentioned residencies. We've had an annual poet in residence for 5 years now. And this year we've finalized a Korean American poet, Eugenia Lee, who will be our poet in residence in July 2026. And while I don't have a full, I don't fully remember her bio, but I believe she was a poet laureate of Brooklyn, and she's coming up this way this July. So she has some significant credentials and a really wonderful and unique artistic voice. And the neat thing about residencies is we do try to pull people from the area, but it's also a wonderful opportunity to provide space for artists, again, of all disciplines. And sometimes it's to give that space to be creative and to rest for poets, for artists in this area. But it also can be a place to make people who don't live here aware of us and to bring them here and to show them what we have to offer to Tioga through Tioga County, and also to connect these incredible voices and creative people with our community, and they may not be able to access them otherwise. I mentioned this earlier, but another artist service which we're thrilled about is artist grant navigation. And I love this because this idea wasn't ours. Artist Anna Warfield came to us with an idea. She identified an issue in the arts community, which is there are a ton of grant opportunities that artists cannot access. They need to be educated about it. And she not only did that, but she said, here's my proposal to fund it so we can make sure I'm paid for my expertise and I can teach others. So I love this because we were the support. And when we work best, sometimes that's what we do best, is to support a strong voice with a great idea and make it happen. And then the last thing we try to do is pay artists with honorariums. So our Creative Symposium series, if there's an artist that has an area of expertise, we try to pay them to present during that. Or other public speaking. We mentioned in everyday life, everyday art, an artist emeritus, we try to provide them an honorarium to acknowledge their status. So it's a good way to, again, honor our value and recognize that artists have talent, have expertise, and they should be paid for those skills. And the last bucket or area is community services. So, and this is one I really hope to expand this year. So in 2024, we did a pilot initiative with Catholic Charities of Tompkins, Tioga to, again, pay an artist to lead art classes for women in transitional housing. In some ways, this is our adult services, and it's the people that are sometimes the most invisible. And in a way, that's why it's so important to bring something like this to them, because they need their well-being supported as much as anyone else. So we hope to bring that back, increase it, and add a new partner agency, which is a New Hope Center, who happens to be having their 40th anniversary. So they were interested in this model, both want to provide it for their clients. So we're working out ways to get funding to do that. The next area where we try to, again, serve all people in our community is through the Memory Maker Project Partnership, and that's to bring arts into the lives of aging adults and people living with memory loss. And we're excited to announce that we did receive a grant in full through the Chemung Canal Trust Company. and the Anthony Ricci funds. They were kind enough to provide us money to do that, not only to deliver it, but to expand it this year and add new dimensions like gallery visits or things like that that enhance the experience. And then public artworks. So we, again, art can be a service to the community and beautify it and make it a more desirable place to live. It can be a real engine and vehicle for community development and revitalization, and we are working to do that. Next slide, please. So, and I just want to further emphasize this for a moment because it's, like I mentioned, in 2024, we first made this foray into public art by supporting Early Owego Antique Center and their efforts to restore and enhance an existing mural. It's now known as the We're Happy You're Here mural. And since then, we've developed a public art plan that we've proposed for the village of Owego that mirrors in many ways the values of a grant that supported a lot of work you might be seeing in downtown. But in that grant program, the Downtown Revitalization Initiatives, they saw art as a vehicle for community transformation. And we never forgot that because art can be a transforming agent. So we've been trying to do that piece of it through public art. But given that we are in a historic district, we've taken a slightly different approach. The Early Owego Antique Center mural was grandfathered in, but given the state of the buildings and historic district, we've taken a new approach that we found from Indiana, of all places, and they had a wonderful initiative called All Alleys Lead to Art. So treating alleys like public gallery walls. So maybe some people may never come into our doors at Tioga Arts Council, though we hope they do. They can still access art when they're going through the alleys to get to a parking spot or to go home in their apartment. And last year, the two completed projects were the Owego Animal Mosaic series with Emily Jablon and the Owego Rotary Club. The Homage to Moondog, that was also done last year, and that was done in a 5-month window period, which if you're not familiar with public art, to go from concept to funding, all right before summer when most public artists are booked. We finished it on time and it's really beautiful. And it feels like a piece of art in public, not public art, which I see a big difference. So this year we're planning to also launch a new concept that was inspired by an artist in residence called Skateboard Alley, for lack of a better phrase. We might change it, but the hope is to honor the residency of Mark Rivard, who is an international artist, and his program Do Rad Things, where students use the skateboard as a cultural canvas to create art, and have the students create, again, students that have exceptional skill, that are excited to do this, and they're working with their teacher, Jolene Williams, on art that will be weatherized for outdoors, and we're developing the concept now of how to install it. So that's very exciting. And another thing which is in development as a concept, but we're looking at developing floral banners to replace the baskets that were once there, and there was funding to change them year after year, but this might be a more long-term solution to beautify the corridor. And there's more. There's also building owners now reaching out to us about murals at 81 North Avenue, 52 North Avenue. We've gotten a few calls about the, what is that? The overpass or underpass where the train is coming from Ithaca into Owego, as could that be a visual gateway that we can help with in some manner and turn it into some form of public art there. So we're working with partners like artists, Team Tioga, the village of Owego, to make North Avenue a vibrant creative corridor because it has such potential, and just in terms of numbers, it has a wonderful impression that can be made with the number of cars that visit there. So 5.1 million cars go by that corridor every year, and it could literally transform that part of Owego that's so trafficked and so important to the village. So, and I'll try to not digress because I get so excited about programming. So finances, though, so that's another important thing to always talk about. We are a nonprofit, but we are also a business in a unique business because of the nature of our 501c3 status. So a very simplified way to look at or to think about what we do is we have two very basic ways of breaking down our finances. There's our programming bucket. That's how we fund our programs, our services ranging from the gallery to our public art. And interestingly, most of what we do for TAC programming is through grant funds. Most grant funds that support programming do not typically include operating support, and we'll define that in a moment. And some large scale events like Everyday Life, Everyday Art are supported primarily through sponsorships and donations. So that's a very simplified way of thinking about the finance support for programming. Then there's operating costs. So operating traditionally includes administrative and program payroll, utilities, building, all the day-to-day things that we just need to operate to be open and available. And it is partially our staff. So that breakdown, as we'll see on the next page, is covered primarily through community support. And that's very exciting to share. Next slide. Okay, a little out of order, but that's all right. So before we get to that, we mentioned finances. So finances are always, especially going into this year, there are some real challenges. So the first thing, we are very grateful to the donors, sponsors, individual giving, and the foundations that have given us money this year. There's no question we're grateful for it, but we must be honest too that there were several that were cut significantly. And not because I think that we're not providing the services, but rather there are just increasing needs in the nonprofit ecosystem. So I meet regularly with other executive directors who are experiencing federal funding cuts. They're losing sponsorships, or there's losses of income across the board. Prices are raising. Consumer confidence, I would say, is in flux at the moment. And we all have the desire to grow the mission against the realities of, money and people power. We always have to balance these challenges. So there are real ones. But, I think we always try to stay optimistic. We don't want to dwell. We have to acknowledge the challenges, but we also have to recognize the opportunities. So the first thing is we're working with volunteers, with staff to engage, solicit new individuals, businesses, sponsors with care and with consideration. Tioga Arts Council in particular has been fortunate because through the work of our public art, I think we have increased our public profile in a very positive way. We have a very intelligent team here of finance savvy people, and we've been working to diversify our funding opportunities through things like qualified charitable distributions and certificates of deposit. We also had a endowment fund that was started or initiated in 2022, and it met its goal of $50,000 in principal to then collect interest on. So we're diversifying, we're getting smarter. We also have a new development committee, which there are several new members on, Josh Tolley being one of them, who are helping to lend their expertise to look at what we have resource-wise and to develop it, to grow it strategically and wisely for the community benefit. And then the issue of people power, one thing that I think we've done that's clever on our part, I guess, without tooting our own horn, is we always like to work with artists and to pay them. So we've developed essentially a subcontracting model to pay artists to own specific programs. When it works extremely well. So we found the right artist to run Artist Grant Navigation, for example, or another one to run our Creative Symposium series. This is one that takes time because you need to find the right person with the right skills, with the right funding. But it's been working really well, and we hope to grow that aspect of our organization. So, and here I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the thing that was lovely and that Treasurer Mike Poe pointed out when he was looking at income sources for our operations, that's what keeps our doors open, staffed, lights on, is most of it comes through our community. So first we want to say thank you for that. You guys, through your memberships, your donations, your sponsorships, and coming to community supported programming, you make a difference and you keep our doors open, you keep our lights on. and it's really exciting. So we want to say thank you first, and please consider to continue it or to grow it because it means a lot for us, Tioga Arts Council. Next slide. So where we're at, you've kind of gotten a glimpse of where we've been, what we're hoping to achieve this year. And just to kind of summarize it, we are a small nonprofit. We have our challenges, but we're always striving for excellence here. It's anyone who's a leader of a nonprofit knows how important it is to protect it. It's a community asset, and the Tioga Arts Council is the central platform for the arts in Tioga County. So we want to be excellent in how we in the programs we offer and how we deliver them. We want to offer over 70 exhibits and events. We want to serve over, and this should have been corrected, but 9,000 constituents. And we want to increase paid opportunities for artists of all disciplines. We want to not just achieve our mission, but excel in it. We also have dreams. We want to continue to build our artist community. We want to, like I said, expand free art classes for underserved adults, to increase public art, to pursue a teen art space. That's another idea that's come up in the past couple of months. Internally, we just want to do some things really well too, like build our YouTube channel. Some of it's very aspirational, some of it's very nuts and bolts. The only way to achieve this, though, is through finances. So we need to continue funding the organization as best we can. We want to increase and diversify our revenue because it's to advance these goals. But always to know that in the current climate, to say it's tenuous is an understatement, and we're not the only ones. This is across the board. So we're well aware of the need, and we're one of the organizations asking for help. But you can help. There are many ways and many forms it can take. So, we are a nonprofit. We'd be remiss if we did not ask for financial support. And this year, especially under the guidance of the Development Committee, we're proud to say that we offer an affordable membership structure. We offer affordable program where we're trying to build a group of people, and they are out there and they're already doing this. So we hope to expand this group, but the group of people in our community that see us as an investment, that we are an essential part of the community, that we provide a unique service, particularly through our social service outreach, that no other arts agency can in this county. We also are looking, you help to, sorry, but you help to develop our resources, to help us to operate, to help us to be nimble when opportunities arise, and to be protected when problems arise. So as an example of that, this year we have an AC unit that broke down, and we will have to do a repair. It will cost about $9,500. It's an unexpected expense. The good part is we have reserves, but I only say that as a strong example and a very current one for the year ahead, that there are expenses that come up. We prepare for them the best we can, but we're small, and the more support we get, the more nimble we can be in any direction. We ask you to join, become a member, donate, sponsor, serve in this new leadership giving circle, which we're calling the Creative Community Circle. And we need your help. You help keep us vibrant and creative. We saw that when we looked at the numbers. You make it possible. So thank you. And hopefully we can keep it up and grow it. Another way is to volunteer. I love this picture, and I was telling Josh this. I love it. First of all, she's adorable. But I love this because volunteers can take many forms and do many actions that are meaningful. So here, young Harlow was testing our markers for us to make sure that they worked for workshops. But there are other roles you can take on. Exhibition docents. We mentioned 2 exhibitions at Cloudcroft. That's 2 key times we need extra volunteers because we literally cannot be on 2 sites at one time as staff members. Program and event support, workshops, committees, board service. We have a scheduling app which we're looking to update as we begin the year, so to keep an eye on that. And then show up. So the thing that I love is when there's a great event we put our heart and soul into, and people come out and they say, wow, we want you to come to our events. We try to do the best we can to make it interesting, inspiring, and accessible. So always, when you can, show up. Um, and if you can't, share your ideas or share with other friends because maybe they can come. And just as a reminder, just some examples of things happening this very week. We have an artist talk with the artist on exhibit in the gallery, Andrew Fitzsimmons, on January 30th. We have our next exhibition, Resilience in Bloom by Sarah Carmen, on February 6th, along with the Boys and Girls Club opening in the Youth Gallery. We have our first creative symposium series of the year, Masterminds Live, and Artly Squared on March 6th, 5th, and 6th. It's bumped up a month, so just putting it on the radar. And there are many more things. So I've said a lot. I've tried to stick to the clock fairly well. And I just want to thank you all for coming out and for listening to what we have to say. And since I recognize people on this call especially, but to anyone out there listening, thank you for all that you've done for us and the ways you support us. You've really helped us become vibrant, creative, and impactful. Thank you. So now I'm happy to answer any questions, receive any comments. Josh, I don't know if anything came in through the chat, but thank you all for listening.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you, Annette.
There we go. Almost lost you. That was a really fine presentation, Christina. I'm proud to have been with you through the past 9 years as I've watched you grow and mature in this role. And I've seen the organization grow and meet challenges and stabilize itself and push forward into new areas. I'm really happy to see that we are more than a gallery, that we are more than the building on Front Street, and that we are pushing out into the community. And our rural community certainly has special needs. And every year I feel like we're doing more and more to reach people with our creative opportunities. I'm really happy to see that we are encompassing music and writing and poetry and all the different types of forms of art. I feel like I'm really happy with that we're not just focusing on one thing. I feel like my concern for you, and I've said this publicly, and I've said I don't know how much more you can manage. And we do not, I've been part of groups that were way too heavy in the administrative side of things, right? We have the opposite problem. We have a lot of things going on and in all different stages of development. And as you said in the beginning of your presentation, you've got your responsibility for most of these things. So that is something that I want to make sure that you have the support that you need from all of us in the organization to achieve your goals. So make sure that that you're clear about that with us. And I think you've gotten better over the years of asking for help. We all have that. We all have that problem. So thank you very much. I really appreciate everything that you're doing. My dog has decided to come in and be a part of the meeting. So, and thank you. Yeah, and thank you, Josh, for helping to get this idea. This is a great idea, a yearly thing, and it's a wonderful thing for the board too.
My pleasure.
No, thank you for those comments, Nadine. It's appreciated. And Nadine was here on the hiring committee with me, so we go back almost a decade now. So thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Nope.
I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you, Keith.
You personally and the council as a whole. I'm very happy.
No, thank you. For me personally, it's an honor I see this as service in this capacity, but I love one of the things I love besides the programming is the people I get to work with. So I'm so glad that they did come to the table and making it better because there are just things that I can't do and I shouldn't do. So I'm so glad that you and so many people are a part of it.
Great.
Is there anything else? I know it's dinner time, so I don't want to keep anybody.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm driving, so I can't be on video. My name is Rachel Consolazio. I just wanted to say thank you as a local artist who has gotten so many great opportunities um, through the Arts Council and to work with the Arts Council and things that I've learned and been able to take with me on my sort of creative journey and take out of town even. These kind of opportunities being available to artists is just invaluable. And I think that the Arts Council is such an important organization for those kinds of reasons to give artists those chances. And for that reason, I will be I'm part of this organization as long as you let me hang out. So thank you so much for that. It's a meaningful, very, very meaningful part of my creative life. So on behalf of artists, thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you, Rachel. You're really an inspiration, and you're one of many people that are. So thank you for all you do. Well, unless there, Nadine.
Well, I was just going to add, this is typical of me. I caution about having too many balls in the air, and then I add another thing that I think that maybe we should think about for the future. And one of the things, and I'll talk with the board and you about this a little bit later. I'd like to see us take a leadership role in historic architecture and we definitely have people connected with the Arts Council that can lead here. And I'd like to reach out to Cornell University in their historic preservation master's and doctoral program. And I'd like to bring some kind of university partnership into the village of Owego. And whether it's Binghamton University or the community colleges or Cornell or Ithaca, I think that there's room for this, and I think that would be some rich partnerships could come from that. Starting small, but I have a couple of ideas and a couple of people in mind that might that are graduates of some of these programs and some local architects, local photographers, people like that. Let's add them to our partnership and see what we can develop from there.
Thank you, Nadine. I love adding to the dreams. That's a good one, and it's ambitious. Well, I don't want to rush this, but I know it's. Thank you all so much. Or if there are no other questions or comments right now, I just want to thank you all again who are on this call, but also out there in the ether. Thank you so much for being part of this and for letting us share a little bit about 2026 and the year ahead and what we hope to do. Thank you.